Hey, how you guys doing? So you guys have been asking about how to deal with multiple attackers. So us here at Asians Are Strong, we have a couple of fundamental concepts that we want to share with you. Now before I begin, it's very, very important that not all confrontations are created equal. Anything could go wrong at a moment's notice. Now it's really, really important to have good situational awareness. Also, if you are in a disadvantaged position, you must change your environment so that you can be in a more advantageous position so that the odds are stacked more for you as opposed to against you. Now, number one is going to be identifying your attackers and the positions of them. Number two is going to be, once you identify the attackers and the positions, you're going to identify your escape routes, also choke points to avoid. And number three, if you do need to engage or defend yourself, you're going to have to keep your attackers at what's called a linear pattern or a single file line. So you're engaging or defending one person at a time as opposed to two or three or four. Number one, actually before I begin, get off this thing. Do your best to not be glued to your phone as best as possible. It's really important to have good situational awareness, especially dealing with multiple attackers. So going into it, I need to, number one, identify my attackers and how many there are, and the positions they're in. So as you can see from right this point, I have two attackers directly in front of me. Now, what I can do now, I can use my peripherals to scan my environment, make sure there's no one behind me, and if you can avoid the conflict at all costs by running away, run away. Number two, after I identify my attackers and positions, I can start strategizing on where my escape routes are, also which choke points to avoid. Now, for example, it's a natural tendency for a lot of people to kind of back up against the wall or what's called a choke point. As you can tell from here, I've neglected completely 50% of my escape routes. It's important, especially when dealing with multiple attackers, you want to position yourself at the most advantageous position as possible. Now, as you can see, if I had just turned myself through the street, I have this whole entire open area to escape. I have this sidewalk to run up against, and also I can run between these cars. It's important in this situation that you need to mitigate harm by getting out of there as safely as possible and doing your best to not engage with the attackers. Number three, the very last resort. Now let's just say I'm forced to engage my attackers. It's very, very important to keep them what's called a linear pattern or a single file line. So for example here, I have two attackers in front of me. The last thing I want them to do is to surround me or outflank me. As you can see from here in this position, it's extremely disadvantageous. I'm forced to engage with two attackers at once as opposed to one attacker at once. Now, to create that linear pattern, you need to do whatever you need to do to either shuffle or run, using your environment to your advantage. As you can see from here, I have two vehicles that I can go between and I can funnel them through here. As you can see, as I'm funneling them, as they're coming through between these two vehicles, I can engage one attacker at a time as opposed to two of them at the same time. This whole time, I am causing a scene, I'm making noise, I'm trying to draw as much attention as possible so that either a bystander can intervene or higher echelon of care can come. Now, if I can avoid the conflict at all costs by running away, run away.